Alright, we have green lights. Hello, this is the 47th multiplayer test for Rank War Master. And yes, things have changed. I finally got myself a microphone. I no longer have the giant cans on my heads. I'm sure I look like a Cyberman all these other times, but this is actually what I look like without giant things on my head. Today, despite us not coming in last week, or last 2 weeks ago, I should say, mostly we've been doing background stuff. A lot with the tutorial, a lot with load saving, which I'll show a little bit with that, and then a couple other like very minor features like targeting what's immediately in front of you. But one of those the big things we all should put in was effectively a campaign mode. So this is what I usually consider the like minimal viable product, if you will, which is what they call it in the industry. So let me start the session. And part of the reason why the campaign MVP thing is such a big deal is we've been showing the game for such a long time. And we've been showing the features and what works and things of that nature. But it really hasn't felt like, okay, we have a game. Well, now we do. You know, and so that final, we finally crested that hill. And so to me, that kind of makes a very big difference. The load save has been turned off in the production version for the tutorials and such, but that's coming. It will be there probably next week because we're just doing the final touches on it now, so that you can like load save during the tutorial, which was a problem. I mean, you would think that okay, that's sort of an obvious thing, but it's obviously it was more complicated than not. It has to do with the newer system that we're putting in or have put in. So if I go new game, now this is the debug version, as it says down in the lower right. But in the version that you can get from Steam, you'll just see the Prologue 1 and 2, and you'll see the campaign. And other than the waves, you really won't see anything else. These are all my test stuff. These have gone away. So, if you go in the campaign, at this point, you go to a typical, you know, you've seen the corporation screen before, but in a 4X game, for example, is typical to set the stats of your corporation, you know, what the name, what your specials are, etc. These are starting to actually matter now. So we actually have pre-built, so we go to Sherwood Industries, the name, the motto, and stuff like that, and this tells you what, this does, we have to correct that. It shows you the Signature technology, so we get a better deflective shield. So different things of that nature. But also the big thing is you can actually select how many AIs you can go up against. So I can go for 1. So let's crank this up to, I don't know, 7, because we're stupid. Why not, right? Yes, we will die horribly if we actually fight 7, but we'll do it anyway. So yeah, you can also set all the way down to 0, which means you just sort of, you know, go into creative mode for all practical purposes, because no one's going to shoot you. But here we go with this. So hit done, and we go in. Think about it. Okay, and so Ares greets you. We don't have the voiceover for this yet, but that's coming. It says, Greetings, Director. This short combat simulation is intended to calibrate the systems you will use controlling your corporate assets on the Martian surface. You have a singular scout ship and the builder bot loaded with resources. I recommend that you first assemble a city and produce a fleet to defend it. After that, you want to take care of 2 enemies. That this text needs to be changed, since we can actually change the number of enemies now, which are nearby. They have the same resources you start with as yourself, and they will waste no time using it against you. As a matter of fact, you can see them going at it already. Best of luck. Alright. As a matter of fact, there's one over there. There's one over there. There's definitely one over there. There's one over there. And yes, we are definitely surrounded. Well, we asked for it. Now, here's the fun thing. If you notice, I have no guns. And you go, what kind of horror is that? Well, that was very much on purpose. It was just never done. So let me go tell my builder bot to actually do something here. And what you're hearing in the background is them actually building. Because I have the sound turned up way too high. So he's going to go start building things. But as you can see, these guys are way off in the distance. Now, one of the main things that got added was the ability to select things. So, for example, right now I can actually select basically by holding down the T key, and I can actually, using my cursor, actually select what's right in front of me. That don't mean the cursor is the mouse cursor. I mean where your ship is. Although I guess that's an interesting upgrade. Adam, what do you think of actually using a mouse cursor to actually say, hey, I want to select that ship, if you're actually able to do so? Does that make any sense? Or do you think it should be like the crosshair like it is now?
I mean, more options is better if we can swing both. Then...
Yeah, well, I mean, using it now, I'm going, well, hey, I mean, I could actually... So, for example, new buildings that come up here. As far as I know, it's... Maybe he's not grabbing that. So, let's see if I can grab it. Oh, yeah, see, there it's picking up his research lab up there. And that's the whole thing. You can hold down the T keys. It's got a pretty good range on it. I have, like, set to 20,000 feet. And so it will pick up on the different guys as they... get with range. The problem is that kind of distance, it really doesn't... You gotta be really precise with it. But if you just hold it down, it'll just grab what you want to grab. So... God, oh, there's another one over here. I'm seeing glow. I'm just so dead. I knew that going in. Now, all this is fine, Dan. They're too far away for me to pick up. As you can tell, their distance is like 70,000 out. My sensor range is only 40,000, so the only reason why I know they're there is like I can see them building, because look at the bright light! And so, yeah. That, and I'm cheating with the little thing. I don't know if I should be able to be picking them up this far out, actually. Because if they're 70,000 away and picking them up anyway, that's might be a bug. Alright, I may have to set a little bit too high than I thought I did. They're probably still along the line, I'm just not checking to see if they're too far for me to signal. Well, that's why you test these things. So in any case, now here's another little fun one. So, I have Cyborg 15, all the rest of that stuff set up right. Now, let's let the autosave do its thing. Because I was just going to save it anyway. Alright? Alright, so it saved at 01. I'm going to fly down here, because I can. Now here's the thing that was so brand new that you could never do before, which is so very important to me, is, okay, I'm over here, I'm doing something stupid, right? I hit escape. I hit load. Grab this. Hit OK. And guess what? It didn't crash, and we're right back where we were when it auto-saved. And you know what? I can keep doing that. And we're right here. And if you get super technical, I can go back to an earlier save. I mean, I don't think it was any place different, but I think they were much further back. It didn't have the research labs up yet. But I can go forward. Grab that. And now you're cha-chaing. You know. Oh, they already have their refineries up. That's the problem. So, yeah. Now, the T-key still works as usual, where it's like the two closest things. So if you don't actually have something on it, it'll pick it up. Well, I wonder if that's what's actually happening. So let's fly over here and do something stupid. But for debugging and for playing and everything else like that, just like constantly be able to reload it without the whole thing eating itself is, at least to me, such a game changer. I mean, the load save's been working for a long time now, but it never let you load in the same game session. Now it just does. And it's compatible with the scenario engine, which means if you're in the middle of a scenario and Ares is saying something and you save it right there, it will return you right there. Which is very, very important. So, here's an example of me using... So, see how I'm grabbing this? See, as I move my cursor over, there's the reactor, there's this research lab, and depending on where everything is, see, it's changing, and I'm just holding down the T key. That's all I'm doing. I'm not pressing it a bunch of times. As my cursor goes over something, it changes. Now, this is the enemy base. There's the builder bot, so I was able to select him by moving my mouse cursor over him. I don't know what he's waiting for. I guess he's waiting for some of the research to be done. Everybody does things differently. The problem is that each AI has a different personality, which means they'll have a very different way of deciding to do things. So I'm kind of curious who in the world is off over there. I think the range on the builder beams probably have to be cut down. But you can see they're all kind of set all in the circle around us, which is kind of the point. Now, mind you, I'm not trying to play with this at all because I will just get trashed. I'm well aware of that fact. But it's just kind of neat that you can say, okay, how many enemies you want to fight, and that kind of thing. This is meant as kind of a seedling scenario. Basically, the idea is that now we can add other scenarios to this and build upon this. With any game, as they say, you have to have your core gameplay loop, if you will. And that's what you build upon. And that's what this is all about here. Is now we can add in everything from the little mini scenarios, which I believe some of them have been completed, but just haven't been officially added. They need a trigger. So eventually you'll have these things much further away, and you have to go find them. You'll find these in the resource nodes, you'll find anomalies, and when you do, you know it's an enemy city, an enemy fleet, or it could be one of the in-game scenarios that come up, which means it could be anything from a bomb to finding a crashed thing that you can salvage, etc. So even though the guy back there was just, only had his research and such, this other city over here, this isn't us, he's well developed. And he's still cranking stuff out. And it looks like, if you ask me, he probably has some ships out. So yeah. I think they're shooting. They definitely are shooting. Whoopsie. I have no guns. I can't do anything about it. Oh, it crashed. That's not good. It was requesting a silhouette and it ate itself. Oh gosh, I still gotta remove that. So it's capital ship.ship. I gotta fix that. Something fierce. Okay, but here's the beauty of it. So I just it's a file name issue. The biggest problem with doing game development is it's all about triage. What's going to be the most bang for the buck for the amount of effort you put in? Now, there are some bugs that are so earth-shattering you got to do something about, but other ones you kind of let go because you have to handle much larger problems. This is one of those issues that I know have been around for a very long time. The name is capital ship.ship, and the problem is when it's supposed to chop off the ship extension, it sees the capital ship part, being the ship part, not as the extension, but that, and it cuts it off in the wrong spot, and I know that's what the problem is. So if I load this up, I've been over 6 minutes in. As you can see, I was still just bopping around. Came right in, not a problem. That's the beauty of this. Alright, and so basically it was designing a new ship that was loading it in. That's why it was causing a problem. Now, if you also notice, you see how if I go up higher, we have these movement pips? I'm not sure if you can see it on the resolution that you have here. But for too high, those movement pips are there. People mistook them for stars. And so, as a change, I changed it up so if we go below a certain altitude, that the pips disappear, because then you can see the terrain moving. So you can see that that's the case in this case. So you don't need the pips as much. But when you're in deep space and stuff like that, there's no point of reference. So we hide behind here and stuff like that. So I wanted to make today's stream relatively short. We're doing some graphical updates by next live stream, and I'm hoping to show a lot more with the tutorial at that time. Yeah, they're actually having battles there. I'm watching. I don't know why it's not putting reticles around them, but they're definitely doing their thing. They're already in battle. So if I actually went to the navigation screen and went and looked, yeah, check that out. There are the, actually the multiples. Look at that. There's guys over here attacking each other. Wow. Yeah, so this guy's seeing this guy, he doesn't like him, they're like trying to hit each other's cities and all that. So this is already becoming a giant furball. Look at that. It's getting the audio from where my stuff is. So yeah, these guys are now attacking my home base. That's nice. These guys are just sitting here just being idiots, so I gotta improve the AI, I'm not debating that. But yeah, no, that's just what I can see. Because the nav screen, if I haven't seen the thing, that won't let it show up on the screen. So if I double click down here, for example, you can see the all the insanity that's going on down here. Should be behind these. Yep, see? I grabbed them all. Okay, well I won't bore you with all this. This was meant to be a quick run, so we can show you more things of what's happening in the game. We'll hopefully get to a Let's Play or something like that pretty soon. Alright, if there's no more questions or no more things I want to demonstrate, we'll cut it here. Alright, well, thank you for coming by, and I hope you enjoyed the little brief episode, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.